7:01.
Already raising their hand.
Oh, don't start. Not having a good day. Okay, it is 7:01. We're going to go ahead and get started, and we're going to start by taking roll. Bob?
Here.
John?
Here.
Alex?
Here.
Andy?
Here.
Bettina?
Here.
Emily?
Here.
Jen is not here. Kristen will not be here tonight. Laura should be online. Richard will not be here. Sonia?
Here.
Right. Oh, and there is Jen.
Yay.
Right, we have a quorum. Usually I don't say much during the chair's welcome, but tonight I just wanted to let everyone know that Daryl Williams passed away
Oh,
no.
Oh,
Gosh.
a couple weeks ago. So I do have a sympathy card. We can sign if anyone's interested in his service. It's next week at Mount Hope Cemetery. That's all I'm going to say. He was a stand-up guy. And if you knew Daryl, if you've been attending these meetings for the last 8 years, Daryl always said what was on his mind. And then some. He was also one of the original founders of Groundwork. He was the first president.
Oh, wow. I didn't know
And
that.
terrific community advocate for Webster.
Oh.
Danielle?
Yes, Lynn, could you email us the time and the date and
I
the
will.
location of the service, please?
Yes, I will forward it. It came from his family in an email, so I will send that out.
Thank you so much for the info.
All right. Other than that, just a few housekeeping things real quick, because this is a hybrid meeting. Chat is turned off, and that's so that we are transparent online and in person. We follow Robert's Rules of Order. Raise your hand, wait for me to acknowledge you, and I will say we follow it quite loosely here. We're a little on the casual side, as we all know. We are going to have 2 presentations tonight. In order to keep the meeting moving, please hold questions and comments until after the presentation, and we'll get going, okay? All right, any changes for the, any changes for the agenda tonight? And hearing none.
No.
Adopted without objection. Okay. All right, thank you. All right, next up, communication from the public on non-agenda items. Do we have anyone here that would like to make a non-agenda comment? In person? Online? Becky? Kathleen Clifford, you're up first. Kathleen, you have 3 minutes.
Well, okay. I wasn't expecting to go first. My name is Kathleen. Sorry. And I just wanted to provide an update of what happened at San Diego City Council, because it's a decision that can impact the community planning groups citywide. And specifically the community planning groups of Encanto, Choias, and Southeastern San Diego had filed an appeal against a project that was going to be in their community that reduced their lot sizes from 20,000 square feet to 5,000 square feet. And that reduction seemed to only apply to those areas. However, some of the other changes in the city's embracing of complete communities does affects other planning groups in different ways, like the rezoning. The rezoning undermines single family residential zoning that has been in place for years. And it also allows businesses to locate it next without regard to sensitive use setbacks. So there were a lot of things about this project that DSD should have never given it the exemption to begin with, but they did it based on sort of what the planning groups claimed after the fact, putting in a little footnote that allowed them to make this reduction. They titled the appeal obscurely on the agenda today so that a lot of people who might have been alerted to it, who would have been interested in speaking, didn't recognize it. They called it the Clobber Development Project. They put it at the end of the agenda, which seems to be something they do fairly often when it's a contentious item. And so they lose a lot of public speakers that might have interested parties to attrition because it goes long. Meetings typically do go long. Anyway, it was an important decision, and they actually they accepted the planning group's exemption appeal, and it doesn't mean the project is dead. It just means that it won't get CEQA, and CEQA is supposed to be based on public health, on safety, on impacts to quality of life, etc. And they shouldn't be given exemptions because it does impact all of those things. Anyway, thank you for letting me speak. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay, thank you very much, Kathleen. Becky Rapp, you are up next.
Hi, good evening. My name is Becky Rapp, and tonight I wanted to share with you a recent press conference that the San Diego County Sheriff's Office held, warning the public that they've uncovered multiple mislabeled products at local smoke shops, gas stations, and convenience stores. Products that were labeled THC-free, but did in fact contain the ingredient. To take it a step further, these products were packaged and marketed in ways that appeal to children. And they came in the form of flavorful vape pens, candy bars, cookies, gummies, and edibles such as lollipops. This should have every community organization and group in our city and county deeply concerned and upset. One, upset that the rules are being violated, unenforced, and manipulated. And two, that public health and safety is being jeopardized. I'm sure many of you have a loved one, maybe a child or a friend, who suffers from a life-threatening allergy. Can you imagine walking into a convenience store, purchasing a snack, after examining the label to make sure that it's free from products containing the allergen, and then only to find out later that after consumption that in fact the product was mislabeled? This is the exact situation that has become reality for parents as they've rushed their children to Rady Children's Hospital for treatment. Dr. Natalie Lobb, who specializes in pediatrics and child abuse, stated that this is a reality and that she sees cases like this every day. I asked this group to recognize that rules are being violated and that the confidence of residents is weakening. It's important that we reach out to our government officials, our city council representatives, and ask them to partner with local law enforcement, that products are put through vigorous testing procedure. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Becky. Do you have any other non-agenda comments? Okay, good. Okay, we're going to move on to our representative reports. And you might be able to tell that it's a little lean tonight.
I was gonna say.
First of all, I did send out an email. Tony Duran will be leaving. I didn't expect her to show up tonight because she's with Tony Atkins' office.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Sam Gonzalez, who's with Dr. Akila Weber's office, might be coming back when she moves to the state senate. Maybe not. I hope he comes back. Roberto is out of office this week. Kate Needham-Cano goes up quarterly. I don't know when Karen from Monica's office comes. Fatima's running late. She did, oh, she might be here now. Yes, she is. Mr. Schneider's there. Okay. So Fatima is here. And so Bruce Williams. You are first up tonight, sir. Bruce Williams is from Dr. Henry Foster III's office for District 4. Bruce,
Muted.
Bruce, you're muted. Can't hear me? Okay, we'll try Fatima first. Fatima Afiel is our community representative from the mayor's office. Fatima,
Hi, everyone.
good evening.
So sorry for coming in late, running in from another meeting, but I did want to provide a few brief updates and then open it up for any questions or additional concerns you may have. Just providing a general update on University Avenue and their construction there. Still be wary of traffic and delays along that corridor. They are still doing construction there. They will be working on Menlo University next and doing improvements along there. But the same detour that is in place right now will remain there for the next 4 weeks as they continue to work along Menlo. That is that. If you have additional questions on that, you can always reach out to the public information officer who's named Rima. I can always more than happy to flag any questions for her. Additionally, on a lighter note, I wanted to go ahead and announce that we are rolling out the 2024 Mayor for a Day contest for our students that are in K through 12 across San Diego. And the question for the prompt is, what would you do if you were the mayor of the city of San Diego? So that's an opportunity for students to go ahead and submit an answer to that prompt either through an essay or video response. And so the first place winner will go ahead and spend the entire day with the mayor in a department of their choice. And then the runner-up will get to spend half a day with a department of their choice. Note that the deadline is November 29th, so it's coming up pretty soon. You can always feel free to forward any questions to me, or you can always reach out to Coral Taylor at her email, taylork@sandiego.gov. She's also the community rep for Council District 4. So if you have any additional questions, you can always follow up with her. And then lastly, I also wanted to highlight that our trash collection services, or the city is looking to enhance our trash collection services and also considering potential new fees. So there will be an open house to gauge community feedback and just input on suggestions on that. That is going to be Monday, December 2nd from 5:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the College Rolando Branch Library. So it's going to be an opportunity for the community to come out and essentially voice your opinions on what you would like to see included in trash collection services or what you would not like to see included. And then also put your input on the fees that they are considering. If you can't attend, they also have a questionnaire and survey, so where you can express your concerns through there. Please note that this is their second phase of community outreach, so they've already done a first rollout. I can always go ahead and double check to see if they're going to be doing any additional community meetings on that, but you can always go ahead and check the website. They have all the information available there as well. But if you have any specific concerns, questions, you can always reach out to me. Those are my updates for today, but I'm open to answering any questions that you may have all. Yes, I see Danielle has her hand raised.
Danielle?
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. So thank you for the update about University in Menlo, but do you have any updates for the University Ave section within Eastern area? That's my first question. And my second question is, has there been any announcement about the cause of the fire on Fairmont and Montezuma that happened on Halloween? Thank you.
I'll answer the first question first, actually. I can double check to see if they have any updates on the construction closer to your area. I just like to give this update to all the communities in District 9 because I know a lot of folks either commute through there or go to the businesses along that area. So I just want to be, I want everyone to be wary of the traffic, the congestion that already exists there, that you obviously don't want to go try pass through there and get stuck in there. So just highlighting that to y'all. I don't believe that there's any, the current construction right now is going to be along Menlo and University. That's the only part that's going to be closed down. Everything else is either going to be running straight along through University Avenue or through the detour on El Cajon Boulevard. So whatever is currently in place right now is what we will continue to see. It's just shifting slightly over up on University Avenue. And then to answer your second question, they are still doing ongoing investigations. There is still no definitive answer as to what started it. The most that we know is that it was found on private property. And we're continuing to investigate, or San Diego Fire Rescue is continuing to do their investigation to see if they can discover what exactly started that fire. But they do know that the most of it was on private property. Are there any other questions?
Could you send the digital file for the Mayor for a Day so that I could send that out to the board?
Yes. Who asked that question? I can't see.
I'm sorry, it's Lynn.
Oh, yes, Lynn. I'll send the attachment flyer to that. I believe I did attach it on there, but I'll resend it again in case it didn't go through.
Okay.
Thank
And
you.
just so everyone knows, I did ask Fatima earlier about the status of the homeless storage facility demolition on Choyas Parkway. The framework is still in place, the fabric's gone, but it is up to the city now to remove that. So
Yes.
we should get an update from Fatima about that.
So I did want to add that PD in District 9 also flagged it to me. So I'm just working to get a little bit more context because I know that this has been a recurring issue for the community. So I want to go ahead and get a little bit of follow-up from our city staff to see what work has been done and what their protocol for making sure that that site is managed correctly will be moving forward. So I'll be following up with any updates that I get back from them.
Okay, great.
Thank
you
you
very much. Any other questions for Fatima? Bruce, if you can hear me, I see you're unmuted.
Yes, apologies. Normally I try to be there, but there was a kids event and I got stuck here in the parkade. So I'm here giving my report from the parkade. A couple of things, Fatima. The second phase of the trash study outreach is happening in the next couple of weeks. I just wanted to share that for Council District 4, the event will take place on December the 3rd from 5:30 to 7 p.m. at the Educational Cultural Complex, which is at 4343 Ocean View Boulevard. Again, the second phase of the trash study outreach is going to take place on December the 3rd, 5:30 to 7 p.m. at ECC 4343 Ocean View Boulevard 92113. Also, for those that might know a high school or college student that would be interested in an externship program, the Workforce Partnership is having externships, and it's available to high school and college students ages 16 to 24. They can use their school break to complete a paid short-term work experience with top employers throughout the city of San Diego. The hours are up to 22 hours of work at $16.85 an hour. If you're interested in the externship for a youngster, 858-560-0871. Again, the workforcepartnership.org/externship, 858-560-0871. Also, for those of you in District 4 that have been concerned about our streetlights service, we've got a message from Streets Department indicating that on July the 1st, 2024, the Transportation Department had 250 outstanding streetlight service requests in Council District 4. And from July the 1st, 2024 to August the 6th, 103 streetlight service requests were closed in District 4. And we're pleased to hear about that because, you know, street lights sometimes take up to 365 days. And so they closed 103 cases. And so the next report will be shared with the group as they are received by our office. Just want to remind folks, please use Get It Done. We're starting to see a difference being made when people use Get It Done. So we're going to encourage our District 4 residents to use Get It Done. And also, if you'd like to meet with the council member, Henry Foster, we can do so during his office hours, which are on Fridays from 1:30 to 4:30. And we just email Stephanie at ssanchez@sandiego.gov, ssanchez@sandiego.gov. And finally, sad news, we lost former treasurer of Eastern area, Daryl Williams of the Webster community, passed last week, I believe it was. And if services will be held graveside, and if you'd like to send a card, you can send it to his church, which is the Bethel Baptist Church, 1962 Euclid Avenue, San Diego, and I believe that's 92102. And Daryl will be missed. Good guy.
Yes,
Yes, he will.
Yes.
Bruce, he passed on October 20th.
The 20th. Okay, yes, we just got something in our news,
Yeah.
in our email today. Thank you, Lynn, for that correction.
Yeah, thank you, Bruce. Lita, you had a question or comment? Sorry.
Yes,
Okay.
Fatima, I just wanted to let you know so that you can pass the word to Mayor Gloria that his attendance for the Nuestra Cultura event on October the 12th was truly, truly appreciated, not only by the friends of the Oak Park Library, but the community was totally, totally shocked to see him there with smiles and dancing with a group. And the comments were just really, really wonderful. And it was very, very positive that he showed up with acknowledging our students. So please pass the word out to him that we're very thankful that he showed up.
Oh, thank you for that. I will make sure to pass the message along. Thank you so much for the invite, of course, always so happy to be out there in the community.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lita. Danielle, you had a question for Bruce?
Yes, I did. Hi, Mr. Bruce.
Thanks, Danielle.
My question, I think it was last month, was if you could check with MTS about connecting the 54th Street bus routes with the College Grove Shopping Center bus routes, because the city op yards still has all the employees parking along College Grove Drive. And so I don't know if you have an update for us about MTS, but the second follow-up question is, how much longer are those city op yards parking spaces going to be needed? Are we looking at 6 more months? It's already been about 6 months.
Lynn, let me get the answer to those questions, and I'll send it to Lynn, Danielle, and she can get it out. Is that okay, Lynn?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank Jen, you had a question for Bruce?
Hey Bruce, it's Jen. What was the workforce website again, please?
The workforce website is, let's see, workforce.org. Oh, my light just went out. Truck here. Hold on. I'll cut my light on. Okay. Of course, let me get out the truck. So there we go. Okay. Workforce.org/externship. EXTERNSHIP.
Thank you.
Thanks. Any other questions for Bruce? Okay. On to our
right.
information and thank you, Bruce. Appreciate it.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
you can send that
Alrighty.
to me and I'll forward it on. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Appreciate you. All right. Have a good night.
You too. Thanks, Bruce.
Mhm.
We're going to move on to our information and action items for this evening. And the first up is an action item. I'm going to introduce Sabrina Young from Say No to Clay Group. Is that permanent? Okay. And they are here to talk about name change for Clay Park. And Turn the floor over to you. You want to introduce your?
Would you prefer that we stay back here or
I think if you stay back there, if you can just stay where you are, everybody online can hear.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
that should work.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Thank you so much for including us on your agenda tonight. We really appreciate it. I'm Sabrina Young. I'm a teacher at Pendleton Elementary, and also I live a couple blocks from the school, so in the Rolando community. And
My name's Brian Jenkins. I live in the Rolando community as well. I have a student at Pendleton, a student at Mann, and a student at Crawford.
I also live in Rolando.
So we have a little presentation that we will just read to you, sort of, and then we'll take questions, and this reading will help us sort of keep on track. When our grassroots community group called Not Okay with Clay, which included some school, parents, staff, some community members, some RCC members, and some Kalina Rec Council members, started this process about 3 years ago to rename Clay Elementary and Clay Park. Cara Camden and I attended a Park and Rec budget meeting advocating for funds for Clay Park improvement plan. At this meeting, we asked about the Park and Rec City's policy regarding renaming a park. At that time, Andy Field directed us to policy 920. Andy explained that it might also be helpful. Andy is the director of Park and Rec. Andy explained that it might also be helpful to focus on renaming the school first, as the city would sometimes follow or look upon the lengthy efforts required for that process as legitimate for the renaming of a joint use field park shared with a school. So we started with the school, knowing that the ultimate goal was renaming all things Henry Clay. According to policy 920, procedures, the advocates, which is our group, need to submit our renaming proposal written packet to the director. As per policy 920, our proposal needs to include reason for the proposed name, including criteria for renaming identified in the policy, a written documentation outlining community support, and justification for changing the name as it's a city asset. As part of this process, we are here to share our proposal to rename Clay Park, which we will be asking you to vote in support of at this meeting. The outcome of this group's vote will be included in the written packet for submission to the director.
All right, and so according to policy 900-20, our written statement and documentation needs to explain the reasons for the proposed name, including a discussion of the criteria identified in this policy. The justification for renaming or criteria from the policy that we will speak to is location, outstanding individuals, and significant events. And so then I'm going to read through our proposal that will go to the director. So our proposed name is Bertha O. Pendleton Park. Just to confirm, this is the name now of schools, Bertha O. Pendleton Elementary School. So we're looking to have a park named after her as well. All right, so reasons for proposing this name. So first is location. The park is located adjacent to the recently renamed Bertha O. Pendleton Elementary School and shares a joint use field with the school. Prior to the school name change, both the school and the park were named Clay Elementary and Clay Park. All right, thinking about outstanding individuals. Dr. Bertha Pendleton grew up in Gadsden, Alabama during a time when Black Americans were denied the resources enjoyed by others to be successful and live full lives as citizens of the United States. As a young girl, Bertha proved herself to be smart, involved, resourceful, and determined. When the segregated library did not have the information she needed, she requested and was given permission to utilize the public library after closing hours to access her extensive reference materials. She was valedictorian of her high school graduation class, and she attended Knoxville College in Tennessee, where she graduated with honors with a Bachelor of Science degree in biology. In addition, she earned a master's degree from United States International University and a doctorate of education from the University of San Diego. Bertha was born and spent the first 5 years of her life in Troy, Alabama, the same community where her cousin, Congressman John Lewis, would later grow up. Her elementary and high school education was spent in Gadsden, Alabama, and from these humble beginnings, she would grow up to eventually become the superintendent of the 8th largest school district in the county, San Diego Unified School District. Dr. Pendleton spent her early endeavors as a cartographic engineer before becoming a 3rd grade teacher. She became a middle school math teacher where she and her husband and family moved to San Diego. Her success in the classroom soon led to her becoming an administrator, filling the roles of counselor, vice principal, district coordinator, assistant superintendent, deputy superintendent, and finally superintendent. When she was named superintendent, she was the first female and the first Black American selected as superintendent of San Diego Unified School District. And during her tenure, 14 schools were constructed in urban areas. She also has the distinction of being president of Epsilon Omega, the local chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Inc. for 2 terms in 1981 and 1984. Her work in the community was often a part of the motto of her beloved sorority, service to all mankind. She received recognition from many community organizations for her volunteer spirit and tireless efforts in the community. To this day, she is a role model for all San Diego Unified School District students. And then our final parameter, which is significant events. After a multi-year community engagement process, the San Diego Unified School District Board of Education, that's a mouthful, unanimously voted to rename Henry Clay Elementary to Bertha O. Pendleton Elementary School on April 20th, 2024. This initiative to rename Henry Clay Elementary and Clay Park began with our Not Okay petition, which was started on March 10th, 2023. Henry Clay enslaved over 100 people in the state of Kentucky, and he was known as the Great Compromiser, which included his significant compromises that sustained slavery. This included, number 1, 1820 admittance of Missouri to the Union with no restrictions on slavery as a compromise for Maine becoming a free state. Number 2, New Mexico and Utah as territories in 1850 with no restrictions on slavery in exchange for California's admittance to a free state. Number 3, abolition of slavery auctions, but not slavery in Washington, D.C. And then the 1850 Fugitive Slave Act requiring federal officials in northern states to arrest and return people accused of escaping slavery. So we include these points just to sort of talk more about what it means when they call him the Great Compromiser, where his great compromise was oftentimes to maintain slavery in one state at the expense of outlawing it somewhere else. And sometimes that legacy can be obscured. And finally, the community found that the continued celebration of a noted white supremacist and slavery advocate was not acceptable in our neighborhood. And so we came together to engage in a restorative process. Prior to renaming of the school, the community engaged in multiple dialogue forums and received endorsements from City Council President Ela Rivera. These efforts and more ultimately resulted in the successful renaming of the elementary school adjacent to this park. And I'm going to pass the baton to Gerard.
Thank you, Brian. So in addition to the written proposal, we would like to share with you some of the artifacts from that proposal that we had submitted to the school board. So first, we had gotten our community petition, which we garnered over 1,244 signatures from everyone in the neighborhood, from families, teachers, a lot of community support. And then to date, we now have gotten the support of the College Area Planning Commission, the Rolando Community Council, our City Council Representative Sean Ela Rivera, and also from the Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority as well. They'll be providing a letter of support for the renaming process as well. We think, as Brian pointed to, there's the history of Henry Clay at his time. There's also the history as when the school was named. The school was established in 1957. And at that time, this was 3 years after Brown versus Board of Education, which was the Supreme Court's decision to desegregate schools. Also in 1957, when the school was named, this was the year of Little Rock 9, when the National Guard had to be brought in to help to integrate the schools in Arkansas. This was also the same year that San Diego Unified named Robert E. Lee Elementary. So there was not a coincidence as to why the school was named, when the school was named. It was an overt effort to make sure that Black American students did not feel comfortable in the school or in the city, frankly. And the Rolando neighborhood, as many of you know, was a red line neighborhood where if you were not white, you cannot even be on a property unless you were working there. You cannot be willed a property, you cannot buy a property, you cannot rent a property. You had to be white in order to. So we feel like that legacy is something that we really need to fight against and are not okay with, as the name suggests. But yes, like I said, these things were not a coincidence. That's why it's so important for us to now make this final change to the exterior and then continue to work on the interior. That's our proposal. Any questions? Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna start, let me ask if there's anyone online. Let me check with my online people first. Does anyone online have a question or comment? All right. Okay, we will start with the board. Jen?
Thank you for the background and the information. I had no idea. How long did it take you to get the school changed, and why is there a stall in getting the park changed?
So as far as the end of the school changed, it's been close to 3 years, or took close to 3 years. But as far as there hasn't been a stall with the park, it is more that they asked for the school to get done first and then use that as kind of leverage or justification to then change the park.
Anyone oppose it? I mean,
No one noticed
this
it
seems like a
yet.
slam dunk to me.
Yeah, there's been, I mean, honestly, you can count on one hand the number of people that have had voiced any opposition, but the support has been overwhelming.
I think with the school district, we don't quite know. There was a change in the superintendent. And it seemed like there was lots of things related to that maybe committees were set up. But yeah, we were kind of in the dark, but it did take more time with the school district than we would have liked,
Yeah.
but I guess change is hard. So,
It's a matter of procedure that the school change goes to San Diego Unified. The park change has to go through the Park and Rec Department.
That's right.
Two completely different divisions.
Yeah.
Bob?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that, changing a name of a park is a serious act. In the case of Henry Clay, your presentation hasn't described his achievement. I mean, he was considered one of the greatest statesmen in American history. And so why haven't you presented that portion of the facts?
So in part, we feel that the park has, his name has been honored sufficiently by having 1954 or 57 until now. So we very much advocate a restorative approach to renaming to address the harm done in choosing that name initially. And I guess we feel that changing the name now does not need to go in. We don't need to celebrate his achievements any longer. That's where we stand.
I think, do you mind if I answer?
No, go for it.
I think maybe like the way that I would approach this question is people aren't wholly good or bad, right?
Well,
People
and
are
that's exactly right. The human condition is imperfect, complex, and flawed. So, and we cannot view history and judge based on our current norms.
Well,
Bob, are you implying that we are trying to erase history? Is that what you're implying?
I mean, and to some degree.
So we don't feel that at all. Continue, Brian.
yeah. So I think you like just because somebody has done some good things, I think you can also look at the things that they did that was very detrimental. And it was the feeling of our group that owning human beings, and you can look at like the extensive history of this, of people who actually sued him for their freedom that he fought to the death. I think you couple with that with the reality that he was never in California. It makes no sense. He was in Kentucky. He lived in Kentucky and died in Kentucky.
He had an incredible impact on California because through the Compromise of 1850, he and Daniel Webster had California enter the Union as a single state, free of slavery.
But you'll learn a lot of the compromise though is to keep slavery in another territory. Right. And so I understand that maybe we will all never come to an agreement on whether that's okay or not. I would stand up today and say anybody that did anything to uphold slavery should not be on the building of a school in our community. And that is why we started this.
You know, and I
organization.
respect changing the name of the school, but I think that the park is, you've accomplished what you were, you.
We have not actually.
We
were
set
out
out to do the park
to
and the
start.
There's always
But I
a
mean,
park in the school.
you know,
Just to really quickly interject, I have a very strong aversion to the notion that we're looking at this through a modern lens, because we're not. At the time, Henry Clay knew that slavery was wrong. And I'm going to quote Henry Clay for you, that slavery is unjust and a great evil are undisputed axioms. His words. In 1847, my opinions on the subject of slavery are well known. They have the merit, if it be one of consistency, uniformity, and long duration. I've ever regarded slavery as a great evil, a wrong. For the present, I fear an irremediable wrong to its unfortunate victims. This is not a modern lens. He knew what he was doing was wrong, and he did it anyways his entire life. This is not modern. And every time there was an attempt to expand slavery, there were riots. People fought it tooth and nail in that time. It was not a novel concept. It was not something that people just
through
walked by.
compromise, he was able to keep
I'm gonna
slavery from
compromise-
the
I'm gonna
Louisiana
compromise
Purchase.
keeping her house by burning down your house. Is that a good compromise?
No, it's not.
Exactly. That's a terrible compromise.
I'm gonna let two other people weigh in here too. Emily, you have.
Does the city have a budget to replace the monument sign in the front?
So with the remodeling of the park,
Okay, that would be included.
yes.
And I think Andy did say too that they would, regardless, would get that needs to be replaced anyways, I think. It's been vandalized multiple times.
It's like last week or two.
Yeah, so I think that was something that he said they would not plan to wait.
Okay, thanks. Alex?
Yeah, I'm actually a retired university history professor, and I spent a lot of time. I'm actually a Europeanist and a world historian, but I have emeritus colleagues who do U.S. history, and we've talked a lot in the last 5 years because of all the monuments being taken up, taken down, and a lot of the monuments were like Robert E. Lee monuments, things like that, were put up right after the Civil War. They were put up right around Jim Crow, 1890s, and then all the way through the 50s, as you're saying. So they were political statements, very much so, as was the naming of the school. And I don't see taking down monuments as erasing anything at all. It's not erasing history. Trust me, it can't be erased in that fashion. What monuments do are honor particular things, right, and particular values in the present and in the past. So when you set up a monument today, you're not really talking about history as such. You're talking about, what do I want to monumentalize? Right? What do I want to honor? And so I think, personally, I think it's a great idea to change this park's name. There's no need for people in San Diego to honor Clay any longer. If people in Kentucky want to do it, God bless them. They might very well want to, but I actually don't see monuments are separate from history. They really are. They're a different thing. It's a public space. It's things that you go, wow, this is something to honor and to emulate if possible, right? History is something else. History is much messier. History is much uglier than that. I could talk about Abraham Lincoln and the great emancipator. There's a huge number of problems with Lincoln, but it doesn't mean, take down the Lincoln Monument, but you got to be careful how you honor things. That's all. So anyway, I will support this motion.
Thank you, Alex. Alita?
Thank you for allowing me to comment. I truly understand the name change. As an American Indian that has experienced many, many things, my family and so on and so forth, I truly believe that San Diego is going through a wonderful, good, positive change, and especially in our communities. Because since I've been here, living in my house for 50 years and seeing the changes of inclusion, we are going in the right direction. And it feels wonderful to be able to be included, not excluded, and not reminded of the genocide, of the slavery. So I hope that everybody understands what I'm talking about. Because if this person has given so much to the school district and to our families and children here, it's well deserved, well deserved. And why stop now? Let's keep on moving forward and creating great positive things for everybody. And acknowledge the ones that have contributed so much to the schools and to our community. And I really appreciate you allowing me to say what I want to say, because again, I'm pretty vocal, but I only say what I mean to say when I feel that it's the right time, as you all know. And I think that tonight is a great opportunity for us to create change. And it could be part of the reparation process as well. And hopefully that all of you understand and that it would be great for us to have positive change here in our community. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alita. I had a couple questions for you because I actually picked up some of the language from the college area agenda item, and it says joint use park, but this is also the neighborhood park in addition to the joint use.
Joint use field, yeah.
Right, so.
Oh, this agreeing. It's a joint use field between the park.
But there is a neighborhood park.
Correct.
So are you renaming both of them? That's
Yeah,
right.
they share the name.
Okay. Just want to be sure because I know part of it is joint use and part of it is the neighborhood park. Okay. And did you present this to the Rolando Community Council?
Yeah.
At a meeting? When?
September. And then also, and actually the Rolando Community Council, when we first launched the petition, we was at the Rolando Community Council meeting in March of 2023.
That was for the school name change.
It's the petition is for the school and the park. The
Okay.
entire thing has always
Okay.
been the school and the park together.
Gotcha. Okay. Just clarify.
Yep.
Okay. John, you had a question?
Yeah, that leads into my question.
Yeah.
I have two questions. One, does the park have to be the same name as the school? I mean,
They recommend that as like at their naming convention, but no, it doesn't have
because
to.
they're constantly separate, kind of.
But they have a joint use field, like they're they're connected, yeah. They have
Yeah.
Yeah. So the field that the kids play on is locked during the day. At the end of the school day, it's open and it's currently used as a dog park. And sometimes as a soccer field and cricket and baseball
Yeah.
and by community. So it's open for joint use,
Mm.
but during the school day, it's locked.
So there's not an opportunity to maybe lift another person up by using their name,
So,
by naming the park something.
so our group supports choosing the same name for both the school and the park, kind of following in the same Clay Elementary, Clay Park.
Seems to me that they got a second name in there.
Oh, absolutely. Could have, a lot of things could have happened.
I'm
A little more
kind of following up on
Yeah.
what's been said, that people are imperfect. If were it me, I would probably be trying to do something that didn't have a human name, and maybe some.
And that's a common goal to
An
do.
animal.
Like when they're actually one of the name that almost got picked for the school was Rolling Hills
Mhm.
Leadership Academy.
Yeah.
And the goal is like to do something that's not controversial, but the name itself was already controversial, and no one had a problem with that.
Yeah, the existing name.
Existing.
Yeah.
Henry Clay sat there since 1957 without a peep. So now when we're trying to uplift someone that actually was a positive contribution to the community, society.
Yeah,
There's-
no,
there-
that
there's
sounds like
there's
I'm
BC.
for the name change. It's
Yeah.
it's interesting because I don't live in that neighborhood, but
Yeah.
whenever I've heard people speak about Clay Park, my first thought was it was named after the soil it's built on.
Honest, when I walked, when I moved to the neighborhood and I saw that I Am Clay mural, I was like, wow, malleable, you know,
I mean, we're,
you know, I thought it was
Yeah.
like, hold water, can cook, you know, I mean, I thought, oh, and then I learned a little bit more.
yeah.
In the school, it kind of, they had taken his picture down. I think was it some of that found in a closet, like a picture of him. I think there was, so I think somebody knew, didn't feel good about it. Yeah, they knew and they weren't talking about him. And if you ask kids, they didn't know who their school was named off of. So they weren't teaching the kids at the school who he was.
Yeah.
But did you want to speak to
Yeah.
the Kentucky? There's been some Kentucky locations that have renamed.
That's
after
okay. We have to move on
Okay,
because we
okay.
have another item tonight. Danielle online has a question online. Danielle?
Really, it's a comment to John. If anybody wants to take on the charge to rename Choice Triangle Park that's coming online soon to put a person's name on that.
I
can
like the choice. I like this idea of
It's,
Joyous Triangle?
yeah, it's a
Choya
location name.
is a thing that's not often given any kind of love or respect.
Correct.
You know, really.
Except for the Choice Creek watershed, which
Yeah.
encompasses several hundred probably square miles, Choice Lake and North Choice. I mean, there are, but
I was making a joke about the plant itself.
yeah, I love Choice. The name itself because I'm a 30-year member of Choice Lake Little League. Just for everybody's information, the current chair of the Park and Rec Board prefers, it's her own preference. It's not anywhere written down in city, rules and regulations that people who have already passed are the ones who get their names on things right now. There was some controversy about, I don't know, 7 or 9 years ago that somewhere up in Del Mar area, somebody was trying to name it after a current person who had not passed, is still alive, and then another group wanted to name it after a competing, and that person was still alive, and it just got to be a big mess. So the current chair of the Park and Rec Board prefers to lean towards people who have already passed to be honored, and I will very happily make the motion when this comes to the Park and Rec Board to have the neighborhood park and the joint use park renamed to match that, which is on the school now. And congratulations to the 3 people that presented tonight. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Danielle. So we're gonna wrap up. Any last questions, Bob?
No.
Okay, anyone else? All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve writing a letter of support. I need. You know what I need here, people? I need a verbal.
I know. To approve writing a letter of support. We say it all at the same time.
Emily makes a
As
motion.
presented, right?
And
As
Bob,
or
Sonia seconded.
Okay, great.
All right, we'll do a roll call vote. Bob,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Alex, Andy,
Yes.
Bettina,
Yes.
Ellie,
Yes.
Jen.
Yes.
Laura, you're online.
Yes.
Sonia.
Yes.
All right, passes unanimously. Thank you. We will write a letter of support. Do you want me to email it to you?
Be great.
Okay,
Thank you.
will do.
Thank you, everybody.
Who made the motion and who seconded it?
Emily made the motion and Sonia seconded. Thank you for coming. It makes a
We
big difference to
appreciate
have
your
you in
time.
person.
Yes, thank you.
Because our next presenters are online. Thank you. All right, tonight, this is an information item only. This will be Ryan Abraham and Michelle Bennett, and they're representing In-N-Out Burger. And they'll be back at a future point because it'll be an action item at a future point to make a recommendation or not make a recommendation to the city for this. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Michelle, who's been very patiently sitting here for the night. And Ryan, you're up.
Thank you so much. Good evening, Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the committee. We really appreciate you guys getting us on this agenda and letting us present. I don't know who was speaking, but thank you for kind of laying out the next steps on this project. She did mention that we are in very preliminary review with the city. We're in with our entitlement package, second round review. So we're here to present. We've got a little slideshow. We're going to show you our we have a picture in here with what existing of what this site is, which is located at 6405 El Cajon Boulevard in the city of San Diego. This is a vacant lot, or not vacant lot, I'm sorry. This has a closed Rite Aid on this lot. It's been vacant for some time. We did include this picture to kind of give you, refresh your memory on what the site looks like currently. And so what we're proposing is a new In-N-Out Burger restaurant. And Ryan will go to the next site plan. Here's our site plan. El Cajon Boulevard is to the north of the building. Our building is going to be right up near near El Cajon Boulevard. We have Art Street below at the bottom of the screen. You can't really see it, and then Seminole to the south. The post office will be staying. So that will be an existing use that will be staying. So this is what our proposed layout looks like for the site plan. And then Ryan, if you want to go to what our proposed elevations look like, this is what we're proposing the building to look like. These are some color renderings that we put together. And we do have a nice black brick at our wainscot level that we think is a really nice accent to the building. And this just kind of gives you this is a very preliminary slideshow. We still are, like I said, we're still going through the city with our plans. And so we're here for any questions that I can answer. There might be some questions that I cannot answer, but we can definitely take note of any questions or comments for you guys.
Okay, Emily?
Can you go back to the site plan and maybe orient us a little bit? Where is the
Sure.
post office?
Sure. The post office is in your bottom right corner right there where the red cursor little button is that Ryan has to the right. So it's to the south, right along, it's where it's existing now along Seminole.
Okay, Alex?
And so the In-N-Out you're proposing would be to the left of that? Is that where
To
we're?
the left, yeah. Ryan, do you want to see if we can get on,
That's what I thought.
Up near.
I'm sorry, an overall aerial, or I can see, because Ryan's got control of it. If you can see if you can, it'll probably be.
Oh, that was a mistake.
Yeah, just give me 1 second here.
There's El Cajon on the left.
Yeah, El Cajon's to the north, Seminole's to the south. So
yeah, just so you
below
can
the-
see our north arrow, this technically is north, pointing this direction. So this really should be kind of rotated counterclockwise, almost 90 degrees.
So access to the drive-through would be
That's what I would
really
say.
off of Seminole, not El Cajon.
We have there's going to be an entrance that we're going to have off of El Cajon where you see that parking field to the east at the top of the page where you see 10, 12 spaces. That's where we're going to also have some of our EV car charging stations as well.
Get a burger and charge your Tesla.
Touches on fire.
Funny little.
It is.
Oh. And that's not part of the slideshow.
Future customer.
But that got a chuckle out of everybody.
Let me see if there's anyone online who wants a question or comment, and then we'll ask a few questions here too. Anyone online? Jim Schneider? I see you, Mr. Schneider. Anyone else online would like to ask a question or comment? Raise your hand, please. Going once. Twice. Okay, moving on. All right, Alex.
Yeah, so what's the proposal for traffic flow? Because, In-N-Out burgers are very popular. The one in Mission Valley, I bank at Mission Federal, and I gotta watch myself because the parking lot is just really, the cars are out into the street and they're in the parking area. And so what plan do you have to sort of mitigate what will be undoubtedly a traffic jam around the In-N-Out? And the post office is also relatively busy off and on. So, I mean, I go there a lot, so.
We have our traffic engineer on the phone, but like I had mentioned, we are in the very early stages with the city, so we don't have a traffic study completed yet. So we're just getting that started with the memorandum with the city on the scoping requirements. So we're trying to wrap that up so we can get started on the traffic study, but I'll take note of your comment and we can circle back with you.
Great, thanks.
No problem.
John?
So your entry is in that area on Seminole Drive that goes sort of east of the post office, right? And then where's the exit? Once you've gotten your burgers, because you're parallel to your site plan there showed you were when you were picking up at the window, you were parallel to Elkhorn Boulevard, actually just across the sidewalk from it. So you're going to come out, you're going to make a 90-degree left-hand turn, and then where
We
this
have a curb cut
arrow
off of
is,
Art. We have also a proposed driveway off of Art.
that's what it looked like. And
And that, yeah,
so that's you'll be sharing the post office drive. Would you be sharing the post office driveway with the
The post office has their own entrance and driveway right there below the screen. That's their own entrance and exit there. That's for the post office.
Nobody uses that one. In fact, there are arrows. Are those arrows, if you expand, are those arrows heading out of the parking lot? Yeah, where the post office exit is. So it shows two lanes there that are the traffic flow looks like it's already heading out.
They usually park trucks at that driveway exit. So the only way to access the post office is to go through the driveway cut.
That one's just said Park Street. Yeah, that's where I've gone in before.
That's the only one I would always go. Yeah, they don't let you go out this part now.
Yeah. That's usually for the,
Where they used
that's the police office, or the post office.
Yeah.
Laura, you had a question, comment? Laura? You're muted.
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah. I know Alex mentioned the In-N-Out in Mission Valley, but I encourage everybody to also take a trip to the In-N-Out on Friars Road by closer to Mission Gorge area. They have the traffic really going well through there. It's right on Friars, and then there's other stores around there. There's the Petco and the Armstrong Nursery, and they've done a great job on getting that traffic moving. So if somebody's not familiar with that layout, I recommend you go look at it and get a feel for how it can work pretty well.
That's one of our newer stores. That store opened in January of 22. And that store does keep everything contained within their site and their drive-through lane. And they do really well at that store with traffic.
Could you share that site plan again?
Sure. Ryan, can you bring up that site plan? I don't know if there's any way you can take off that bottom border so they could see the access point along Art.
Yeah, give me 1 second.
And the one you just mentioned on Friars Road is that store just, that's a fairly new store. A lot of the other surrounding stores that are within 10 miles or less, there's Lemon Grove. There's one on Fletcher Parkway.
Lemon Grove one is.
Yeah, and Santee, all those stores that are further, that are also close by are older stores, so they're a little bit smaller. So this store that you referenced, Friars Road, is a bigger site and it's a newer store for us.
Yeah, the current one is
So how many
Sweetwater.
parking spaces do you have and how many queuing cars can you keep?
At this store, at the one
Yes.
at this one we're proposing, we're proposing, if Ryan could bring up the site plan, I don't know off the top of our head how many parking stalls we ended up with, because we do have reciprocal parking with the post office. The post office also does have exclusive parking for their use and their customer. And then we have 34 cars for our drive-through stack.
Bettina?
Yes, I would like to make some counter statements about the other In-N-Out Burger locations and the flow of traffic. Laura, I respectfully disagree. I frequent the Friars Road shopping center often because my family and I are huge fans of Felipe's Pizza. And I will tell you that what In-N-Out Burger has done is they've taken away 3 entire rows of parking from the surrounding businesses. So if you go to Anderson's, you go to Felipe's, or any of the other restaurants, they have lost 3 entire rows of parking for people to get in and out of the In-N-Out Burger. Not to mention the fact that when you pull in and try to get to another business, you've got the insanity of In-N-Out and Starbucks traffic. And it really has, I know there's a lot more access to In-N-Out Burger for people there, but it has detrimentally affected the other businesses. The In-N-Out Burger in Lemon Grove, I used to frequent that shopping center all the time because I live a mile away. And I no longer go there. I don't go to Albertsons. I don't go to CVS or Rite Aid. I don't go to the pet store. I drive outside of my neighborhood to avoid the absolute nightmare traffic that is created because of the In-N-Out on the corner. So that's the truth coming from me. I do have a question that is not related to this particular In-N-Out Burger that's planned. And I don't know if it's appropriate to ask you, but are the original founders of In-N-Out still with us today?
No, they passed a long time ago.
Okay. Does the company still kind of follow their philosophy and support of issues that the founders did, or has that changed?
Do you want to give me like an example?
Yes.
Sort of not within our purview.
The granddaughter is the one that owns the company, and it was her grandfather and grandmother that started the company. So if you can give me a specific what you're asking for.
We just had a very passionate discussion about renaming a park. And so I'm just curious about the philosophy and financial support that the company gives to groups that are against other human beings. And I know this is not the time for me to ask, so I'll just leave it at that.
I don't want another Chick-fil-A situation.
Yes,
Thank you.
yeah, thank you. Okay. Danielle, you had a question or comment?
Yes, thank you. Unfortunately, the computer kicked me out for a few minutes, so I apologize in advance if somebody's already asked this. Do we have a first round of cycles letters? And if yes, if Lynn, if you have them, can you share them with the broader community? Thank you.
We do, but it's such an extensive list. I think people would want to see after the second review here.
Okay, if you have the second one coming soon, could you then just share that one?
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks, Danielle. Alex?
Yeah, also, you probably know this, but right across from the proposed In-N-Out and the post office is a structure called Boulevard 63, which is home to lots of college students. And again, when you do a traffic study, take that into consideration because a lot of those students park in the post office parking lot and lots of other parking around there. And traffic coming in and out of there is completely crazy at this point even. So keep an eye on that. And of course, it's just a bit north of what was Clay Park and is now Pendleton Park. So again, there's a lot of traffic in that area. Finally, you may not know this, but Seminole Drive is horribly chewed up. I just drove it today and my car, I'm bouncing around in the interior because it is so full of potholes and repairs. So you may also want to talk to the city about doing something about Seminole Drive because it's only going to get a lot worse when you open up your shop.
I believe, yeah, and I believe we were told by the city that they have funding. They're going to be doing improvements in Seminole.
3 years.
Don't hold your breath.
Alex, they're doing a sewer and water main replacement.
Yeah, it's going to be starting next year because
It is so chewed up. I thought I was on a country road.
Yeah,
No, it's so bad. I
Drive
can't
it
believe
every
because
day.
there's the fire departments down the street and it's like, that's a major.
Jen and then Andy.
Oh, Emily.
Emily, sorry. I'm
You
really
do.
tired. I think we're sitting in the wrong seats tonight.
It looks like you're expanding the sidewalk along El Cajon Boulevard. Are you gonna do upgrades to the bus stop that is adjacent to the crosswalk there? Or
yeah,
what
we
kind
were,
of
that was
public-
one of the comments that we need to get with the Metro bus station people and talk about what type of upgrades they want.
Okay. Thank you. And Andy?
This might be premature, but when do you think you may open up the in and out?
I'm
Aaron's tired.
gonna be real careful how I answer this question. It's going to be a long process. So we're gonna get it open as soon as possible. We're gonna try to bring it in late 25, but it could be more of a 2026 project. That's real tentative. I'll know a little bit more when we get a second round of comments on our entitlements and we get going on our traffic study and we really are able to dive into that and do our analysis and our studying. And so we'll be able to keep the board in the loop on, where we're at and if there's any way we can move a little bit quicker on the project, but it's probably at least another year out, to be honest.
Pretty early. Emily? And then Jen.
How many shade trees are you putting in this nice big parking lot?
I don't know offhand because we don't have a landscape plan on here, but I know we're going to have a lot of trees. We're going to also, I believe, have Aaron, I don't know if you remember if we're going to have street trees on here or not. I believe so.
Yes.
Our civil engineers on here too. Are we going to have street trees too, Ryan? I believe across both streets.
Yeah, certainly along Art Street, where there's already a good tree cover. That's part of why we're trying to reuse the existing ingress and egress site there to maintain the current trees. And then obviously what the city is looking for, we'll be presenting our landscape plan to make sure that we have adequate coverage.
Yeah, we do have street trees that we're going to be putting in. When it was some of our comments that we got on first round.
Has In and Out, thank you. Has In and Out been approved? Like this is a done deal and we're just
the proposal.
Early.
No, we're in our second round of entitlements with the city. The city's had our second package for about 30 days. And so it's going to be probably a couple more months before we get another round of comments.
Is there anyone else looking towards that site for building something?
As far as I know, no. This is not a purchase for us. This will be a ground lease. So no, as far as I know, there's nobody else looking at the site but us.
Okay, John?
I don't know if this has been already asked, but on a typical day, how many cars are going to enter and exit that parking lot?
Well, they know what the standard is for other.
Yeah, that's what I mean,
Yeah.
based on your experience of stores in a similar size, how many hundreds or whatever number do you have that available?
I don't have that, Giancarlo. I don't know we have not started the traffic study here, so I really don't want to I don't want to misspeak and give you guys a number that is not a good number because we don't have a traffic study done for this project. So
Okay.
I can defer to my traffic engineer and see what he feels comfortable responding to.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks. The city actually, oh, sorry, this is Giancarlo Gandini. the traffic engineer for In and Out. Yeah, so as Michelle said, we're still in the early stages in preparing the traffic study for the project. The first step of that is preparation of what we call a scoping document, which kind of lays out all of the fundamental assumptions that will go into the analysis. And one of those key figures is what you asked, which is what we refer to as trip generation. And so on a daily basis, right now what we're proposing, this is all tentative, pending city's review and approval, but we're looking at about 2,700 trips per day, and those are both directions. So the total of trips entering as well as trips exiting, we're looking at 2720, and that's based on the city's trip generation manual, which we've actually done a comparison and seems fairly comparable to what we've observed at In and Out restaurants, based on data specific to In and Out as well.
Got it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And before I take Emily's question, this is Lynn Edwards, I'm the chair. Michelle or Ryan, would it be possible to share the site plan with me? Can I share that with the board?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Lynn, you can share it. We don't anticipate from the first generation, from the first site plan to this one was a significant difference because we had setbacks and dedications that we need to make sure we were clear about. So you're more than happy. Ryan, you can send this to Lynn. We don't suspect any really significant changes anymore to the site plan, just maybe some minor tweaks are here. So this should be the final layout.
Okay, that would be great because I think that can help us visually sort of
absolutely
reorient it because it looks a little skewed to us now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then keep in mind, the parking that's at the bottom of your screen, directly adjacent to that post office. That is all exclusive to the post office per the existing agreement that's in place. And then everything in the main parking field is all first come, first served between us and the post office.
Okay, thank you. Emily, last question.
Okay. One comment and one question. I see you have a crosswalk from the little remote parking lot across the driveway to the store and a little crosswalk from the sidewalk over to the store. I would recommend also putting a crosswalk across I guess it would be the west side of the building, towards Art Street, because the park is directly down Art Street, and unless you want people walking up through the parking lot and trampling your plants, people will walk up Art Street and cross through to the store.
The only concern I see there is they're crossing our drive-through exit. So I will note that comment and I will get with our civil engineer and we'll see if that's an issue or not. But yeah, that's a great comment. Thank you for that. And we'll look at it.
And then one question about that remote parking lot.
Yes.
I assume there's not really going to be policing, or how do people know it's In and Out parking? Because there's another shopping center immediately adjacent to it. It's kind of its own thing, right? So it's just parking for
San Diego State students.
for the 300 unit building that's being built across the street right now, or
Yeah, I'll have to look into that and see if, we want to add, I don't know if we want to add signage. The city didn't really have any comments. It's a weird shaped parcel, but that is part of our leased premise area. So it's kind of weird, and we didn't really, you can't put a building there. So it's actually a great location for parking and then for the EV stations, because we do have to put in EV car charging stations here. So we'll look at that, and I can circle back with you when we do a final presentation to you guys and see what we think might work. Maybe signage. I know a lot of people don't always look at signage, but we'll look at that and see what we can do. But the city had no comments on it, so.
I have one question for Giancarlo, the traffic engineer.
Sure.
If that volume of cars holds, that's 2,700 additional cars per day in that area. What kind of traffic mitigation would you be considering?
Yeah, that's part of what the traffic analysis will verify as we move through the process of preparing that. Kind of, I guess the next step would be once we get approval on the scoping from the city, kind of laying out the study intersections and trip generation numbers, all of that. The next step then would be to go and collect traffic counts at the existing roadways in the vicinity. And so we'll have an exact measurement of, you know, the volume of traffic traveling through the streets. We can then that'll establish the baseline, and we'll have an idea of, okay, existing, you know, what's going on out there today. Once we overlay the additional trips from in and out, how does that impact the capacity? And at that point, then we'll have a better picture of, are there certain intersections or roads that may not, you know, may require a turn lane, or upgrading a stop control to a signal, for example. But it's all, you know, kind of to be determined at this stage. And then just to kind of maybe give a little bit better scale or perspective, the 2,700 trips per day that I referred to, that would be the number of vehicles entering and exiting at the driveways specifically, I think was the question originally asked. Not all of those would necessarily be added 100% to the surrounding streets. There's, in traffic engineering practice, there's a term that we refer to as pass-by trips that are commonly associated with, especially with drive-through type uses, where a lot of the customers are captured from vehicles that are already traveling past the site. So you can imagine El Cajon being a you know, high volume arterial, and I'm sure In-N-Out's marketing team figured this out, that this would be a good site to try and capture a lot of those people that are already on the roads. So I think the city's standard, they use about 40% of those are going to be trips that are already out there today. And so we'll look at the full volume at the driveways, but then when we get off-site, we're looking at kind of what's the net increase with the new trips only. So new trips in the area would be closer to 1,600 trips per day per the city's standards.
Okay. Thank you. Danielle, you have one last question, and then we're going to wrap up here.
Yes, thank you, Lynn, very much for a second round here for me. It's actually to you. When is the sewer and water supposed to start compared to when the traffic study is going to be out there looking at the neighborhood traffic?
I believe the schedule that I saw was with a start date of December.
Yes, I think it was like end of 2025, I believe.
So would the traffic study be done before the sewer and water starts?
No, I think it's actually supposed to start in December of this year.
Oh, okay. They said 2025 to us when we had our meeting with the city. Karen at the city had mentioned 2025 because that's when their budget starts.
Okay.
But anyways, the traffic study, you know, I don't know that question. I don't know how it would impact. I don't know.
If the road's closed, nobody's going to be using it. I mean, it's got sewer and water.
I don't think they're going to be closing the road. I think they're phasing the project and they're doing this work at night. They told us they were going to keep Seminole open as much as possible and try to work around keeping the streets open.
Okay, so when is the traffic study planned to be done? Be early 2025 or late 2025?
Ideally, we'd have it done as soon as possible, but we'll have to work around the construction schedule, as you noted. If it's impacting the way that people would normally drive, we'll either, there's two options, either depending on what sort of schedule and how long of a time frame that is, we'll have to work around that, or we'll have to, again, this will go back to the city, and we'll have to make sure that we'll get the counts as they are today, and then we'll have to make some sort of adjustments to that to account for, you know, if there's people that are now traveling a different route than they normally would, we'll have to make that adjustment as well.
The city has not given us a schedule, so we don't know what the actual schedule is.
But thank you for noting that, because yeah, normally that would be something we need to account for in the traffic study. So we'll make sure when we do get the traffic counts, you know, that we do account for whether or not there was construction.
Thank you. Thanks, Danielle. Ryan, could you stop sharing your screen now? Thank you. Okay, any last questions? Because otherwise we'd like to invite you back when you have updates after the second review, if you'd like to come back and do an information meeting again, or I know you'll be meeting next week with the Rolando Community Council. I expect it will be lively there as well.
I'll have more questions.
Any other questions? I guess that's it from us for this round. Thank you, Michelle, Ryan.
You're welcome.
And
Thank
John
you,
Carlos.
guys.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much for taking
Yeah,
over.
Have a good evening.
Thank you all very much. Appreciate it. And Lynn, we'll be in communication so I can get you some of this material so you can make sure that people there can have access to it.
Super. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right. Good night to you. Okay, minutes. Everyone read the minutes? Yes, Alex?
Yeah, I have just a couple of corrections.
Okay.
Let's be on page 2. It's under Sam Gonzalez's report, the last line says Dr. Weber is running for Tony Atkins' assembly seat. Should be Senate seat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then on the next page, I believe, yeah, El Cerrito, moving monthly meetings to College Rolando Library. No, we've already done that. What I mentioned was we moved the day. So it's the third Monday of the month, the third Thursday of the month. But we've met at the library now for a few months and starting at 6:30. So the time and place is the same, but the day is moved.
So it's third Monday.
Third Monday of the month.
Thanks. And I had one correction on page 3 too, on the our decline to co-sign that letter. It was 9 yeas and 1 abstain. Because I don't vote.
Ah, okay, very good.
Any other corrections? Motion to approve with amendments. Alex, seconded by John. Get that, Andy? Okay. Roll call votes. Bob?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Alex? Andy?
Yes.
Bettina?
Yes.
Emily?
Yes.
Jen?
Yeah.
Laura?
Yes.
Sonia?
Yes.
All right, approved unanimously with corrections. Thank you. Community updates, 2 minutes each, please. Only if you have something for your community, raise your hand. Jen?
Groundwork is planting trees in November on the 23rd. We're going to meet at Webster Elementary at 8:30. If you want to come plant some trees with us, we're accepting all and any volunteers who want to jump in and be a part of it.
Cool. What day was that again?
November 23.
Okay. Alita?
Yes, Oak Park, the market on Redwood, Latif, the owner, is having their annual Thanksgiving dinner for anyone that would like to eat outside. It's like a potluck that he has had for many years, and the public is invited. And that's on the 23rd of November, and that's from 11 to 2. Also,
Yeah, there you go.
Also, the Oak Park Library, Friends of the Oak Park Library we're having our monthly meeting this, the 20th instead of the 21st, which is a Wednesday. And we will be having Astronaut Hernandez in person that will give us a proposal presentation on the observatory that he constructs. So I invite everyone because it is a community effort, and I really would like for everybody to know what he would be presenting and offering to our community. Another thing that was, that we had, Mark, our branch manager reported to us that in October we had 10,284 people passing through our doors, which is unknown, and we're a small library, so we made history with those numbers in October. The Nuestra Cultura event for Hispanic Heritage Month was very successful. We had over 151 persons there in our teeny weeny library, and we had essay contests that included Carver Elementary, Oak Park Elementary. We had 134 students participate in the essay contest, and we had six winners, 3 from each school. And kudos to Miss Christian. That was very, her and of course the other school principals were involved, but Christian was really, really helpful in doing this. Other than that, I think this is it. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Alita. I think that's it. Rolando Park, Redwood Village. We just had our 4th University Avenue cleanup on Saturday. Did not see you there, Mr. Hogan.
I'm sorry.
Can we hear? Thank you very much.
I want to thank you on behalf of Redwood Village for all of you who showed up, and I'm sorry I wasn't there. You're lucky that I wasn't. You're not sick now. But thank you again. Really appreciate it. Sorry I couldn't be there.
We might look to expand in the new year. We need to get our Rolando and El Cerrito groups out there.
Oh yeah, like going across the street like that.
Yeah.
There's always at that bus stop, there's always tons of junk.
Yeah, that would not be the only place.
Yeah.
I think that's it. Danielle, did you have something from Parks and Rec for us tonight?
Yes, Madam Chair. I was just wondering, I sent an email just recently, maybe yesterday, of a little slideshow that we saw at the Choyas Creek Coalition last month, and it has to do with the Oak Park Trail that goes along our little branch of Choyas Creek just north of Oak Park Community, where the garden starts all the way to Berardini Fields down by Webster, past Webster there. So if you could share that little slideshow, that'd be awesome. And I think we're going to be seeing something about that at the CLENA meeting a week from tomorrow. At CLENA seems to be a packed agenda. We might be hearing the GDP for Berardini, and I'm pretty sure we're hearing 2 school modernization updates that are also within the CLENA CRG's boundaries, both Hardy and Pendleton. So it seems to be CLENA is going to have lots to talk about. Other than that, we've been having pretty regular meetings as area committees for both northern part of San Diego and southern part of San Diego. They have been very informative. Lots of city staff there giving us lots of information. And the Park and Rec Board will be meeting in a couple Thursdays, on the 3rd Thursday, 2 p.m. Not quite sure of the agenda yet, but I'm looking forward to the Pendleton name change coming maybe in the new year. Let's see. The Spirit of Giving will be happening over at Choyas Lake in December. I'm not sure if you're having a December meeting for Eastern area, so look for that on the 14th, I believe. And I think that's it. Oh, Little League's wrapping up fall ball, and our grass is now green because of help from the city GMWs. They fixed all our sprinkler heads, and we actually have green grass on our fields. So thank you, City of San Diego. I think that's it.
Maybe they can work on the down the Mission Valley Stadium in San Diego State, where they're going to have to literally take the entire grass out.
Yeah, that's a San Diego State thing that you can talk to the president of SDSU about that.
Your tax dollars at work.
Oh, that's right. Anyways, anybody have any questions? Shout them out now or type me an email.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I will send that
Yeah.
presentation out. I didn't realize it was attached to that email from you.
Oh, okay.
So I will send it out.
Okay. Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you.
Happy holidays.
Yes, thanks. And
Yeah.
just so you know, we will not meet next month. I'll get to that in just a minute. Laura, did you have anything from the CPC meeting last month that you want to share quickly?
Well, we did a bylaw change to allow virtual and hybrid meetings for our CPC group, and we approved that. And then we also formed a land development code update ad hoc committee because the city is going to do a presentation on their update next month. And it seemed to quite a few people that comments that they had made regarding the land development code update had not been added to documents some people have seen, or they didn't get verification that their comments were added. So we're going to make sure that everything that the CPC planning groups forwarded for updates get in. So that was it. It was a pretty short meeting.
Yeah,
and we're meeting on November 20th this month because the week after is too close. It is Thanksgiving Eve, so, or 2 days before Thanksgiving, rather. So we're meeting on Wednesday the 20th this month for CPC.
Okay. And your bylaw change is for, are you going to be holding hybrid meetings then? CPC will be holding hybrid?
Yeah.
Or, okay. And when would that
Yes,
start?
and a lot of people said that they think that they prefer the in-person meetings and they'll continue to come personally, but we all have times when we can't make it, so
yeah,
that's what we're going to be able to do.
So when would that start, Laura?
Oh, let's see, we did the vote. I think it's going to start pretty soon. I'm not positive when that'll start. I'm sorry.
Okay. Fine, thank you. City community plan update. There will be a meeting on December 11th, Wednesday, 6 to 8. It's going to be a Zoom meeting only. I do not have a link. I will send it out as soon as I find it. The agenda is going to include a presentation on the mobility existing conditions. Okay. Which sounds more interesting than the presentation on the historic context statement. I have no idea what that means at all. But there'll be a presentation on it. But it's a Zoom meeting only, so I'll send it out as soon as I find out. Okay. Before we adjourn, just to say we will not meet next month. We don't have any action items. Typically a week before our meeting or so, I'll send an email with a notice of adjournment that goes to the city so they can post it that we're not meeting. In January, I'll be looking for at least 2 volunteers to run the March election. Laura, John, Richard are up for re-election. Alita's seat is open. Kristen and I are termed out, so we'll be looking to fill those seats as well. So it'd be good for someone to volunteer while I'm still around. I can share all the forms with you and guide you through all this stuff. It's not hard. And we should also start to talk about transitioning in April, whoever will be taking out and to continue doing hybrid meetings, because it'll probably have to be split between more than one person, maybe 2 or 3 people to get things done.
No.
Yeah.
No, there's the answer to that.
Motion to adjourn. Thank you. Seconded. That was Alex, John. It's 8:39. We are adjourned for the night. Thank you. Every once in a while it happens.
Yeah. The agenda looked full. I didn't think it was going to happen.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.